with me in paradise. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Do you believe that there is a kingdom that awaits us? Do you believe that there is darkness that overshadows your heart and mind? Do you believe that there are things that seek and desire us to turn away from the Lord, to jeer at Him and to revile Him, to spit upon Him? I hope you say yes to both of these. Otherwise, we're not being honest with our hearts. How many of your hearts have experienced loneliness? How many of your hearts have experienced heartache, rejection, condemnation, hurt, abandonment? I think the truth is that all of our hearts have experienced this. All of us have done things that we wish we hadn't done, said things that we wish we hadn't said, given permission to ourselves because we thought it would be easier to say yes to the pressure than to maintain our integrity or our virtue. All of our hearts have experienced this. And so we see Jesus Christ on the feast of His kingship nailed to a cross, reviled, rejected, condemned, excoriated by the very people He came to save. And we can ask ourselves, well, why? Why would the King of the universe, who created heaven and earth, who made all things, subject Himself in this way? It's because He wanted to meet each and every one of us in our darkest, lowest, most rejected spot. And to remind us that He is there. Now, I don't know what that place is in your heart. I know what it is in mine. But that's where He wants to meet you. That's where He wants you to say, as the thief said, Lord, I justly deserve my condemnation, but have mercy on me. Because Jesus Christ wants to show you His mercy. He wants to share with you His gift of life. He knows the struggle. He knows your favorite sin. You commit it all the time. And He's simply waiting for you to cry out to Him and say, Lord, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being selfish. I'm sick of seeking myself. I'm sick of whatever it is. And He'll say to you, I know. I know you're sick of it. But I need you to acknowledge the depth of it. I need you to acknowledge how much you hate it, how much it hurts you, or how much the rejection you experienced from a loved one is consuming you. Because only in us, when we acknowledge the reality of where we are, do we begin to experience the profound gift of God. And it's such a profound gift that it will transform you as it has transformed those who have come before you. But we have to give Him that openness of heart to acknowledge that I am suffering, I am hurting, I am in pain. Because this world is a rough place. Between our peers, our family members, ourselves, the bad relationships that I'm going to guess many of us have been in. I know the bad relationships that I've been in. But the Lord wants to meet me there, and He wants to say, look, do you see me? And most of the time I said, I don't want to. Because if I acknowledge what He's going through, I have to start acknowledging what I'm experiencing. Because the reason He's going through what He's going through is to share in my experience. The invitation on this Sunday is to let the Lord once again be Lord of your heart and of your mind. So what is it that controls you? What is it that consumes you? What is your favorite sin? I love my phone. I love my phone so much that half the time I want to throw it across the room. I'm a news junkie. If I'm not careful, I can spend 3 hours on the internet reading news. Why? Because one of my favorite sins is pride. And it's manifested in curiosity. I know what it is. And I have to keep going to the Lord with it, saying, like, Lord, why am I here? And the Lord's response is always simple, and it's always real. It's because you're lonely, because you're anxious, because you don't want to be a little child and be still. Which is true. I don't. But then He says, will you? That's a really hard question when the Lord says, will you? Will you give me your favorite sin? Will you give me your fear of being still and silent? Will you give me your pride or your lust or your infatuation or whatever it is for you? And I say to the Lord, Lord, can it wait a while? And the Lord's, no, it can't. It can't wait a while. It's waited long enough. I don't know what that sin is in your life. I don't know what that darkness is in your life. If it's pity, the only way out of pity is by turning to Christ. If it's lust, it's turning to Christ. If it's pride, it's turning to Christ. If it's envy, it's turning to Christ. If it's self-hatred, it's turning to Christ. It all goes back to Christ. Because He is King. He is a King who sits upon a throne that knows the depth of our misery, our hurt, and our pain. What civil leader do we have today that shares that witness? Is there one? It doesn't matter which party we vote for. I haven't seen a single Democrat or Republican in the depth of my brokenness. I haven't seen a single corporation offering an antidote to the depth of my misery, aside from entertainment. There is no other place to turn. I promise you, I've tried almost all of them. And I'm pretty sure you've tried almost all of them too. And so I just invite you on this feast of Christ the King to close your eyes and just to notice your breathing. And to simply say to the Lord, what is it? Where are you not King of my heart? And then tonight, I want you to submit that to Him. Lord, I give this to you. And I submit myself anew to you this night. Because that's the only way, my brothers and sisters. The only way that we find freedom is by letting Christ be the God. And you will not be disappointed, because He does not disappoint.